carries a prison sentence of how much time?
The F2,
Yes.
2 to 8.
2 to 8. All right, so you've thought through this.
As much as I can, Your Honor.
Well, do you need additional time to continue the thought processes?
No, sir.
This is what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
You're sure?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand what you're doing?
Yes, sir.
And you've had ample time to talk to Ms. Sack about it, right?
I have.
So if my understanding, you wish to change your plea this afternoon and or plead guilty to an amended charge of attempted conspiracy to commit aggravated murder in violation of Revised Code Sections 2923.02, 2923.0181, and 2903.01. As amended, it becomes a felony of the second degree. The offense carries a maximum prison sentence of 8 years. A prison sentence, more specifically, anywhere from 2 to 8 years, in yearly increments in between, beginning with 2 and ending with 8. A maximum fine of $15,000. Prison is presumed to be necessary. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been to prison before?
No, sir.
All right. It's a presumption. It will be your responsibility, it will be your burden to present evidence, arguments, and information at the time of sentencing to rebut the presumption of prison. So if you and Ms. Sack do not present something to rebut the presumption of prison, the presumption is you will be sentenced to prison. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So it's almost as if the deck is stacked against you. You have to overcome that presumption. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And that's the mitigation. If you're sentenced to prison, then if you don't overcome the presumption, how much time are you facing?
Up to 8 years.
Up to 8 years. How about including 8 years?
I
I mean,
suppose.
you could receive an 8-year prison sentence, right? I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to make certain we don't get caught in some language barrier.
Yes, sir.
Up to 8 years means including 8 years, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you're sentenced to prison, upon your release from prison, do you understand you'll be subject to a mandatory 3-year period of post-release control?
Yes, sir.
If you violate the post-release control sanctions, the parole authority could return you to prison, require that you serve more time in prison up to 1/2 of your original sentence on one or more post-release control violations. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you understand what you're charged with as amended?
Yes, sir.
All right. I ask that Mr. Phillips read the statement of facts. I want you to listen carefully. You are pleading guilty today. This is what you're pleading guilty to. Understand that?
Yes, sir.
Please listen carefully.
Your Honor, one of the things I spoke with Ms. Sack about is in exchange for this plea that the defendant would enter a full and complete allocution herself, which has to take with the court.
I don't know anything about all that. Is that right, Ms. Sack?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Well, Ms. Carter, what are you charged with here?
An F2 of attempted conspiracy to commit aggravated murder.
What exactly does that mean?
That I played a part in a wrongful crime.
Well, what kind of part?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
You said you played a part. What kind of part? It sounds like the deal that you and your attorney struck with the state of Ohio is that you're going to admit whatever involvement the state believes you to have, the level of involvement they intend to prove next Monday at trial. They expect you to admit that. Now, if you didn't do it, you don't want to admit it, don't do it. But before I plead guilty, I'm going to want to be satisfied that I know what you're pleading guilty to.
I'm
So I
accepting
don't know
ownership.
what, you played some involvement in a conspiracy. Why don't you just tell me in your own words what it is you're pleading guilty to?
To hiring someone to murder my husband.
All right, when is this alleged to have occurred, ma'am? When did this happen is probably a better question.
I spoke to someone September the 16th.
2016?
Yes, sir.
Where did this conversation occur?
In the man's backyard.
Where is the man's backyard?
What city and state?
In Middletown, Ohio.
All right, so it was in person, just you and he in his backyard in Butler County, Ohio.
And there was one other person there.
Who was that?
Hold on 1 second.
Your Honor, I believe she would testify to her, if one of the co-defendants.
Whose case is still pending?
Statement of facts, please.
Thank you, Judge. On or about September 16, 2016, in Butler County, Ohio, the defendant, Shelly Carter, did attempt with purpose to commit or promote the facilitation of aggravated murder of Christian Carter in violation of ORC 292302 and 292301. Again, attempted to plan or aid in the commission of the aggravated murder with Casey L. Fryman and Sarah Nicole Fryman, or agree that one or more of them would engage in conduct to facilitate the attempted aggravated murder or subsequent to the said defendant's entry to such plan or agreement. A substantial overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy was committed by one or more of them, which constitutes the offense of attempted conspiracy to commit aggravated murder, a second-degree felony in violation of 292302, 292301A1, and 2903.01 against the case in the state of Ohio. To wit, the defendant hired Donnie Sandlin to murder her husband. Overt act, the defendant withdrew $500 from the ATM, provided that to her with the co-defendants. And the rest of the payment was due after the murder the next day.
She withdrew $500 from the ATM, and then what about the co-defendants?
They were present when she withdrew it, but they're all present for the overt act. She gave the money to Donnie Sandlin. One of the co-defendants received part of those funds, and then Mr. Sandlin was supposed to receive the rest of the funds after the murder the next day.
Anything on the statement of facts?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Carter, did you listen carefully to those facts?
Yes, sir.
The name of your husband?
A Christian Carter.
All right, and that was the person that you hired, someone allegedly to murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand everything that the prosecutor just said?
Yes, sir.
You understand the difference between a guilty plea and a not guilty plea?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to have a trial?
No, sir.
But you seem a little reluctant. We're going to be here all next week.
I understand.
If you want to have a trial, we'll have a trial.
No, sir.
Well, then why did you seem to hesitate? Pronounced hesitation when I said, do you want to have a trial?
I just have a lot of emotions going through me right now. I'm just having a hard time talking. Sorry.
Well, are you able to think and understand and make important decisions, or are you so distraught that you can't make a decision whether or not you want to enter a plea of guilty?
No, sir, I understand what I'm doing.
You understand if you enter a plea of guilty, it's a complete admission of your guilt. And you'll be forever giving up your right to a trial. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You'll be giving up, you'll be waiving all of your constitutionally guaranteed trial rights by entering a plea of guilty. You'll be waiving your right to the presumption of innocence. And you'll be relieving the state of Ohio of the burden of proving your guilt by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Monday, that presumption of innocence surrounds you, right? It will surround you throughout the trial. It surrounds you even now. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So as I said, it's almost as if the cards are stacked against the state of Ohio, because they have to overcome that presumption of innocence. Just like the presumption of prison. Remember our discussion a few minutes ago?
Yes, sir.
So if you enter a plea of guilty, you're relieving the state of Ohio of the burden of rebutting that presumption of innocence and proving each and every element of this offense by proof beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest level of proof. Is that what you want to do? Not sure, huh? Well, if you're not sure, you're not sure. If you don't want to do that, let's have a trial on that.
I'm not sure about that either.
Well, I don't know how to help you there. I don't know. I can't speak for the state of Ohio. I suspect that this offer won't be on the table indefinitely. Maybe it will.
Your Honor, I informed Ms. Sack when we spoke about this plea that she could have a motion to suppress, or she could have the plea deal. That deal does expire today if she wants a trial. State is prepared to go forward. We've met with all our witnesses. We have our exhibits prepared.
Ms. Carter, you need more time to talk to your attorney?
It's up to you. Tell me if you need more time.
No.
A lot of people looking at you here. You got all kinds of reporters, police officers, judges, cameras.
I understand.
You need a minute to compose yourself?
Do you want a minute to compose yourself? Do you want to talk to me?
No, I'll be fine.
All right, what was the last question I asked you?
If I wanted to have a trial against the state.
Do you want to have a trial?
No, sir.
I think specifically, yeah, maybe so. I think I asked you if you would, first off, whether you understood the rights as to the presumption of innocence, right?
Yes, sir.
You told me you understood all about the presumption of innocence, and that the state has the burden of proving your guilt at trial by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I think you told me you understood that, right?
Yes, sir.
Then I think I asked you whether or not you wanted to give up that right.
That's correct.
You want to give up those rights that I just explained to you?
I'm giving it up today.
And is that what you want to do?
I don't even want to be here. But
Well,
that's what I'll
not
do.
a possibility.
I know.
So we got to work with the options that are available to us. The option available to you right now is go to trial on Monday, motion to suppress this afternoon, or enter a plea of guilty.
I'm entering a plea of guilty.
Entering a plea of guilty, you're also giving up your right to a jury trial. Now, a jury of 12 next Monday decides your guilt or innocence. Do you understand your right to a trial by jury?
Yes.
Do you understand that all 12 jurors would have to agree that you're guilty before you could be convicted?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that you and your attorney would have the right to participate in the selection of the jury?
Yes,
Jury
sir.
selection? You understand that you'd have some say in excusing certain jurors
Yes, sir.
for cause, or if there was a reason to excuse them? Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you wish to waive or give up your right to a trial by jury?
I have one question for my attorney, if you
Well, why
may.
don't we take a minute and can you just whisper it in her ear? Why don't you
Yes,
whisper it in
sir.
her ear and we'll find out whether or not we have to take a break for it.
I'm going to need to speak with her. It's a very answerable question, very easy. It's just that I need to make a point of clarity.
Mr.
And I'm very
Laguna,
sorry.
Does she have access, or can she have access to the jury room? Very well. We'll take 5 minutes. Will that give you sufficient time?
Thank you very much indeed.
Even longer.
No, Your Honor, that's perfectly sufficient. Thank you very much
5 minute
indeed.
recess.
Please
Thank
rise.
you.
Of course, in recess. It's clear.
Yeah, you-
Thank you. Thank you.
you good with that?
So like I was